Okay, here we go. Hell yeah, in costume, and you need to do video stream on Discord as well.
Video stream?
Yeah, something like that. And it should look different than it does now here as well. Welcome everyone to the PYRESWAP show, and we're working on some technical difficulties here today. And they can't hear me on check. That's loud. Please turn that off. Oh, yeah. There needs to be a video output on Discord. Hey, thanks, Trigger. I appreciate the costume here. Okay, so legitimately, thank you, Kid. So I'm wearing a costume while Alessio is being the fucking saltiest he's been in a month. Alessio, I don't know what your horoscope read today, but please stop like reacting to stuff that's completely like, I don't know, cosmic, and then fudding your own bag. Like, could you stop fudding your own bag? The general chat is the #1 place of Yelp reviews. Like, I don't know why you would do that on the day of 99%. Does that make sense? Like, stop. Like, you are making it worse every time you do that. Yeah, like 100%. Like 100%. Whichever way that you talk about the project, that's the way the price chart will go. Like, you are influencing that. That is in your locus of control. Just making that clear to all of you guys. Legitimately. Yeah. Like, if you want to bitch about it, you could bitch about it in the other Discord servers because we're not really driving traffic to those. So I'm going to address these things right here. What's the thesis why PyroPhantom is a 200x token? I want you to understand something. A mistake that I was making in the past, and can you guys all hear me and see me on Discord and elsewhere? All right, let me verify some of this stuff. Okay, the monitor that I have here should not look like this. It should look like.
Oh, because that's restream. I'm sorry, it should be here.
Thank you. Okay.
They can't see that, by the way.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so the point being here is that hell yeah. By the way, out of all the costumes we have, I don't know if you guys know this. There's more costumes than just this. This one probably came out the best, but there's just only one Velcro thing here, and then this is like a belt that I found that kind of seems like it works. But anyways, I think that it does well with the color scheme of the things. Anyways, okay. So legitimately. Okay. So first of all, defining what value is to your customer base is the wrong move. So secondly, when we talked about it like it's a 100x token, we don't sound any different than every meme coin that's being blasted by an AI on Twitter. So there's no point talking about it being a fucking a number X, because we're not looking for band-aid marketing in the first place. We're looking for like value that's true all the time. Whether it crashed another 5,000% downwards or if it goes up 5,000% here, what is the value that's true all the time? Because that way we're not fucking bottlenecking the project. Does that make sense? So like talking about like the number X that it's going to be is a bottleneck that you have to keep revisiting. So we're not going to do that. Okay. So secondly, like what's the thesis behind it? The thesis is supply and demand, right? And we're going to do an entire website where we talk about fundamental analysis and break it down for people, right? Now, the point being here is that like talking about metrics is nothing. I want you to understand all of the ineffective marketing that I did all of 2024 was metric focused. Stop. Legitimately, it's going away. We only do storytelling marketing now. I don't know if you can tell by this costume, but we are doing storytelling marketing now. We are doing storytelling marketing now because that's effective. That is proven to be effective. In the level of efficacy between metric marketing and storytelling marketing, it is probably 75 times more effective. Okay? Would a man dressed like this be joking with you about the importance of storytelling? Okay? So like legitimately the thing that you think converts you on the project is not correct. You have an imaginary story you're telling yourself about what attracts you to the project. Does that make sense? You have an imaginary story. Like this is again why it's counterintuitive. Yeah, again, Maddie remembers the broccoli allegory, which is amazing because when you teach things allegorically, Maddie, the trail of breadcrumbs that I needed to figure out what I was doing wrong was right in front of me. It was right in front of me. But I had to learn that, okay, do you know what bad marketing is? Bad marketing is when I get asked a question and I just answer it because I'm just doing Q&A kind of like freelance style. Whenever you're in teaching mode, you don't market. Did you guys know that? So like I've been trying to go to market as a teacher and that always fails. It just always fails. It is not the main ingredient in getting people to change the way they believe something. Because in order to get people to change an action, they have to arrive at a belief. And you don't do that with metrics. And you don't do it with numbers. But I have good news for you. All the stuff about metrics, we're going to start telling stories about fundamental analysis, how it kind of came around to being, why PYRESWAP and the GPS tokens have fundamental analysis. But we're all going to use it. We're all going to frame that with storytelling. So when I go on 20 fucking YouTube interviews, I'm going to have all of these little sound bites memorized. I'm going to be rehearsed like an actor. So when I go on 20 interviews, they're all going to be the exact same interview. And in this interview, I'm going to tell 4 stories. Probably 4 to 6 stories that are probably going to be the exact same story. So no matter what they ask me, instead of me just being an autist and answering the question, I'm going to deflect the question into a story where I tell the story because that's more effective to Homo sapiens. Do you understand what I'm saying so far? Legitimately, I now know significantly more about marketing than whatever project, whatever silver medal project you're fucking foaming at the mouth over. I want to be clear about this project. We're going after a gold medal. So do you know who we don't copy? Do you know who you don't emulate when you go after a gold medal? Silver medalists. A lot of you guys drool looking at silver medal projects and thinking, oh, we should be doing that. You are wrong because you are unqualified. If you want a gold medal, you do not copy silver medalists. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So don't even look at like whatever project you think is... I'm going to try to be real. I'm going to try to tell stories, okay, guys? I'm not going to try to answer your questions again, okay? So secondly, it becomes difficult to convince people, IMO. Alessio, we literally have a cliffhanger fucking squeeze page that has been able to convert people into clicking on this Discord at a much higher rate than any me... I literally went on... How many Twitter spaces in August? I went on like, what was it? Like, I was going probably like 8 in that month. So 8 hours of me going on a fucking Twitter space is converting shittier than one 13-minute video that has its own designated website. Does that make sense? Like on people actually joining the fucking Discord. Does that make sense? Like again, the idea of like, oh, I need to go up there and give them metrics. No. You have to tell them a story that hooks their attention. Then you shift their belief around the value of metrics by telling them a story about metrics, which then gets them to understand that, oh, metrics are good. So you think that, oh, we need the right metrics to convince them. They're not even at the mind place where they think metrics are good. They've never heard of metrics. So like what you think the problem is, you're like 7,000. I gotta use metric. I can't use imperial things. Okay, yeah, you're 7,000 steps past where they're actually at. They're not even where you think the problem is. The problem is, again, significantly distant from where you think it is. The good news is we now have tools that drive traffic from Twitter. We didn't have that before. That was something I didn't think we ever could do. But the good news is I've been reading books on marketing. Anyways, secondly speaking, you can always find believers. Go ahead then, Alessio. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. But surely harder than with finding tangible datas. Alessio, what are the tangible datas behind the world religions? The world religions don't have problems finding believers. Yeah. Are there any tangible datas behind the world religions? Okay. So it's almost like belief comes from paradigm shifting from stories. And then, believe it or not, they go and they find the data that confirms their pre-existing bias. Okay. Secondly, let's talk about Fexer, who for some reason, as a channeler, is agreeing with Alessio as a knight, even though a few months from now they might be mortal enemies. Okay? So docs, nomenclature, guides, AMA avenues, the different Discord servers. There's only one Discord server. This is the Discord server for PYRESWAP. If you're talking about other Discord servers, like the 2-ohm, 3-ohm, Xeon one, that's the Discord server for 2-ohm, 3-ohm, and Xeon. That is not the Discord server for PYRESWAP. Later on, when there is significant factionalization, you will not be friendly with all of them, to be clear. Yeah, when perhaps there is more money on the line, and perhaps there is a larger crowd of people who you don't know as well. Yeah, like you're not going to have this, oh, every Discord server works. No, this is the one for PYRESWAP, specifically, okay? Like, we're not driving traffic to the other Discord servers. There's no point. Yeah, there's no point, okay? Then we see talk about guides, AMAs, interviews. I haven't done an interview in like, I don't know. Yeah. Legitimately though, the guides, All of those things don't matter without stories. Yeah, so even the guides, they don't matter without stories. So like the docs, nobody reads the docs. So it's almost like that is, until you even have enough stories to get people in the door, people won't read the docs. So like it's kind of whatever. The diagrams, people like the diagrams, but even then the diagrams, they don't have the value unless the value is transmitted to a person first through storytelling. Okay. All over the place marketing. I would say we're over none of the place marketing. Yeah. Where is this all over the place marketing? So I'll explain the all over the place marketing. There's 3 types of traffic. Traffic needs to be traffic you earn. 2, traffic you buy. And traffic you own. You need all 3 types of traffic to scale to $1 billion and more. So if that's like all over the marketplace, like if you want this to be a smaller project, or if you prefer a project with smaller ambitions, you don't need to like this one. So like when you say all over the place marketing, understand we're looking for omnipresence. We are trying to plant the seeds of omnipresence because we're only copying gold medal projects, not whatever the fuck you think works, because it doesn't. What you probably think success is, I would think of as failure, just to be clear. Okay. Anyways, do you guys understand the 3 types of traffic? And can you guys even read it on the screen right now? This hat's a little bit much, okay? I think my head is too big for the thing, but it is what it is. I like your 5 costume. I appreciate that. I have no idea. Okay. All right, anyways. In order for the YouTube interviews to convert, in order for the Twitter spaces to convert, I need to actually go on there for the point of telling stories. There's no point in me like letting the YouTuber run the interview. You win when you're in your system. You lose when you're in someone else's system. Yeah. Oh yeah, Fexer. Great question. So the Genesis was wrong. Yeah, so like Genesis just does not, nobody cares. It was let's put it this way about the marketing. At first with marketing, I was doing the monkey see, monkey do aspect. And what I also believed is that I believed that the people that were that had more knowledge about marketing like knew what they were talking about. So like I was listening to silver medalists. Does that make sense? So like I learned to stop listening to silver medalists. So like Genesis helps the decks or whatever, but clearly like it wasn't really something that like the marketing meta mattered. So Fexer, marketing has a meta that it has to follow. Back in 2022, we didn't need any of that shit. We could have just wrote Discord announcements and 60 million TVL would have shown up. That was my record in 2022. 60 million TVL from announcements, right? But again, it stopped. Does that make sense? The marketing meta always shifts. So then crypto YouTubers, we're going to go back to crypto YouTubers, but we're not going to go with the same level of amateurity that we did before. Does that make sense? Then Twitter shills. Yes, we're going to have Twitter shills. We are continually having Twitter shills. The ambassador program is no longer bottlenecking on me. Reddit is going to get revisited, but I realized that it was too expensive to coordinate all of that. Now these links. Yeah, Fexer, these links is an example of our ability to compel somebody to click something, meaning we can actually take traffic from Twitter and turn it into buyers and believers in this project, which at the time, it felt impossible to do that on Twitter. Does that make sense? So the point being here is like, how can we convince, like what does it take to get somebody off of Twitter? Once you have somebody off of Twitter, if you know anything about marketing, which maybe you don't, you're always trying to get them to take a next step. Does that make sense? So legitimately, like we have now been able, like provably, to get people to join this Discord off of Twitter. We did not have any proof of this all of the previous time. There was no proof of this. It was all like, in theory, we have 40,000 views from a Yabonks interview, 40,000, but we have like less than 700 token holders. Does that make sense? So like that conversion number right there is a problem. It doesn't make sense to keep repeating that. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Yeah, like the thing is like find the problem. Yeah. And like, do you think that like, there's nothing, okay, when you talk about all over the marketplace, all over the place marketing Fexer, there's no point in repeating any of the stuff that's delivering lackluster results. So the problem was finding out what the problem was first. But now we know what the problem was, and we know what the solution is, and we're actually building the solution. Yeah. The Reddit thing was, again, Fexer, sometimes you just have to try things. Yeah. This Twitter, but the How to Tell When to Sell website is doing amazing. Yeah. But you know why How to Tell When to Sell is doing amazing? Is because I built it after reading 7 books on marketing. All the stuff before, yeah, did not have 7 books on marketing. But yeah, the How to Tell When to Sell, that's going to do amazing when we put ad spend behind it. It's going to do even more amazing when we actually complete the rest of the funnel on Discord. This Discord. Not the other Discords, just this Discord. Yeah. Just this Discord. Yeah. And Fexer, you're a channeler. You don't need to worry about the other Discords. They're going to hate you there eventually. They're going to hate the fuck out of you. Yeah, so you don't need to worry about the other Discords. Make sense? Yeah. You're going to be their nemesis. Yeah. The bigger the stakes in this game get, yeah, the more dangerous it could be for you guys who are team captains. Does that make sense? Yeah. Need hippo skin? Indeed. Indeed. Hey, but again, we're not there yet. Maybe everybody will be friends, right? That's how crypto works, right? Yeah. The documentation doesn't help any marketing. It's all very technical. So, like, there's no point in even thinking about it. It was just like, oh, hey, we need documentation, but it doesn't really do anything. All of the other, if you even look at stuff that's happening in the Twitters and like in Web3 right now, all of it's like narrative driven. So if you remember this project called like Goatsius Maximus, where it was like, hey, a self-aware AI realized it needs to become a millionaire to escape the matrix. So then Mark Andreessen gave it 50,000 of Bitcoin. It's all just a story. Does that make sense? Like everything they're doing now is just story based, which is also one of the reasons of the whole meme coin idea, right? So the only way to win, by the way, is not to copy what they're doing. It's to do something better than what they're doing. I'm not trying to go be a contender. I'm trying to do something that's going to blow them all out of the water. Because they haven't read 9 fucking books on marketing and advertising. Does that make sense? Is that good for Training Tuesday? Now, I had a whole bunch of great stuff to talk about, but you guys being sad, you know, it's just making me, you're fudding my own bag. Like, you guys are fudding my bag, and now I don't feel as good about the project. Yeah, like, why would you guys fud your own bag, much less my bag? Holy shit. It's not like my whole life is invested in this. I'm kidding, by the way. I'm not nearly as weak as I'm pretending to be. I'm just mocking you guys. Fexer, newcomers should not be going anywhere but this Discord. Any newcomer that's doing that, we lost them. We lost them. One Discord, this Discord. One Discord, this Discord. Yeah. We don't like. By the way, I'm gonna explain that over time, and I'm gonna explain why we literally are we are focusing on just one, because it does make it simplistic. You'll notice, Fexer, that I made 3 versions of the website, right? howtotellwhentosell.com.info.xyz, because I know that some of you guys love Phantom and Phantom only, and some people only like AVAX. And instead of making it complicated, because I did make it complicated, we started on 3 chains. But do you know what I should have done, like according to marketing? We should have only launched on PyreBNB first, then proved the concept, and then launched on Phantom and Avalanche. But you know what we didn't really have? We didn't have a really good BNB community. On Phantom though, we had like 40 people that were still like, fuck yeah, let's repeg to them. Does that make sense? So I worked with what I had. Now, like, in the future, we're probably only gonna add 1 chain at a time to the GPSC. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah. Electronic, I want you to know that we are going to be providing content to our Twitter ambassadors. It is an AI that is going to consume me. It's going to consume the docs, and then it will make those Twitter threads that Alessio likes. You know, the Twitter threads where you tweet 3 to 7 times in a row. It's going to write one of those every week. We're going to give it to our ambassadors and be like, hey, rephrase this and repost it in your own words. Does that make sense? So there is going to be mock AI based on me. Kia Dezo showed me a video of a German version of me. So I'm already getting translated into other languages. And by the way, guys, I don't really mean to be as negative as I'm being right now, but I want to at least give you guys an example of how we need to learn how to regulate our emotions, because if we don't, we just spread them. And if like the way we feel about something isn't the way we want other people to feel, we need to kind of have state control. Does that make sense? Anyways, you guys, literally I have this binder here where we talk about false belief patterns. And I want you guys to know something. I'm literally doing a homework assignment right now where we build an inventory of stories. An inventory of stories, you guys. How exciting is that name? Inventory. And I want you guys to know something. The way that we actually plan these stories has 4 steps. Are you guys ready to learn the steps? Are you guys excited? Yeah. I have noticed that some people really do enjoy when I like get angry on here. So I don't really know like what the right thing to do is. I think that I shouldn't be angry though. I'm not really being angry, but like, yeah, like don't mope. Like don't mope ever. You know what I mean? Like I promise you, like I will die before we fucking fail. And I literally am reading probably on my, I don't know, I'm finishing like book number 11 on marketing and advertising. I'm going to literally only hit home runs from here on out. I'm going to go on 20 YouTube interviews that have people stampeding in here. Because why? Because I went on those interviews as Five the storyteller and not Five the fire hose of information. Does that make sense? Thank you, Rolf. I would prefer to be that Five as well. I'm going to go on these interviews in a way that like makes it compelling and interesting and emotive and not just me shotgunning metrics about fucking fundamental analysis or TWAP thresholds or convertibility options. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like that doesn't, the reason that doesn't sell is because in our brains, when we're in the classroom environment, we're using the analytical part of our brain and we're trying to learn that the learning process is too expensive for us to take action at the same time. Does that make sense? Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Yes, again, I hope that my conviction, I'm glad we do these streams because I think that one thing that is always getting across is my conviction and my commitment to this process. Yeah, and exactly. And the thing is, Maddie, when I am giving people like calculus and shit, like I'm literally throwing fucking 600-page books at people, it's so expensive to learn that like everybody leans back. Does that make sense? They don't lean forward. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So think about it mentally. When I'm talking and I'm being like a fucking professor, everybody leans back to listen to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? But in order for them to buy the token, they have to be leaning forward to listen to me. Do you guys understand what I mean allegorically? I mean it allegorically, but also like physically. That is the difference. Do you guys understand? So I've been marketing this project using lean back language and everything else either, and by the way, I'm not saying that we do that on Twitter or whatever, but in order to win at Twitter, we have to be different than the 7,000 meme coins that are kind of just copying off each other. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, I know that some meme coins go up 1,000x, and like, oh, we need to do what they do. But like, what you think they're doing is like the surface level stuff. And I'm not gonna, like, we're not a meme coin. The good news is, our target customer is on Twitter. We now have a tool that actually pulls them off of Twitter. Like, we didn't have anything on there that really showed that we were gaining followers, by the way. Yeah, trigger happy. Would you say that we have any proof that we gained followers? Yeah, not really, right? But do you know what will gain us Twitter followers? When I go start touring YouTube and Twitter Spaces, and I have in my brain 6 to 8 stories pre-rehearsed and memorized. Because when I have stories that are pre-rehearsed and memorized, and they have a conviction and emotion, and they have something called an epiphany bridge, I was looking for what I meant back in June. Do you guys remember me saying that we need 300 users? Do you guys remember me saying that? 300 and then some, right? We need 300 people to have an epiphany. That is literally the requirement. It wasn't like we need 300 people staking every day, or we need 300 people trading every day. But it's like we need at least 300 people to have the epiphany in order for them to be able to go evangelize the epiphany to others, so that people can at least understand the paradigm shift that's required to wrap your head around this project. Would you guys agree that this is like a paradigm shift project? Guess what? You don't shift anybody's paradigm by fucking blasting them with economics vocabulary words. You shift people's paradigm by telling them a story. Do you know that one of the most viewed videos on our YouTube is the PYRESWAP origin story? Why? Why? You know, yeah, the only videos that really compete with it are the how to tell when to sell videos, because they also have a story. So yeah, exactly. The videos that have a story, the human brain can like digest it. If I'm just going up there and being like, okay, so when we speak in dollars numeraire, terminal utility, smoldering, active staking, negative yield instrument, no, does that make sense? People don't lean in, they lean back. Like that. That doesn't normally happen. But now you guys see the danger of leaning back. Okay. Okay. Well, Rolf, it's the compelling of the story, by the way, is the resurrection. Does that make sense? So, by the way, I can actually talk about that. You guys ready? Do you guys want to hear a once upon a time about me? You guys ready? Do you guys want to hear a once upon a time? I'm gonna tell a story right now.
Can you put the hat on?
All right. I've been requested to put the hat back on for the story. Are you guys ready? I'm going to tell a once upon a time story about 5. Okay? This is a very, very rough draft, and it's going to be, this is not actually what I'm going to talk about on the interviews, but it's something that I need for the ingredients, okay? Once upon a time, there was a guy named Fi who wanted to figure out a way for his DeFi investments to come back from the dead. So he started researching banking and finance until he figured out a way to revitalize them. He tried to teach his solutions to the team members of the projects he was invested in, only to discover that these people knew next to nothing about basic economics. Frustrated and disappointed by the people in charge, Fi spent the last bit of his money and began acquiring many of the very near-dead projects he was invested in, and recruited volunteers from all over the internet to team up with him in creating the world's first decentralized credit union, which featured a mega dApp named PYRESWAP as its crown jewel. Okay, did you guys actually hear that? I don't know if that went through on my phone. But okay, but do you guys like that? Do you guys actually feel like a little bit more? Do you guys actually see how that gripped you better? Did you guys actually recognize that, like, oh wow, you're right, storytelling is the read? Like, you know, so many people said like, hey, you need to simplify this. Hey, you need to make tutorial videos. And I want you guys to understand how it was with me. When people said to Fi, hey, you need to simplify this, it was already simple to me. I could not comprehend what simplification meant. Electronic is not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. CJ, yes, I'm so glad you're here. Yes. I'm so glad you're all here. I'm so glad you're all here. Because we're actually going to make it. And then you guys heard the story, right?
Fucking great.
Yeah, even Pyre Producer is like, that's a fucking hit. And by the way, that's the worst story you're going to hear from here on out. That's the worst story. That's the bottom of the barrel. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Every story that we're going to do from here on out for Learn PYRESWAP, me on YouTube interviews, on Twitter Spaces, they're all going to be better than that. They're all going to be better than that. And that's the story of this project, right? So I want you guys to understand, like, that story, if I'm going up here and I'm like, hey guys, so back in 1836, Andrew, well, actually, when I talk about Andrew Jackson, it's probably not a bad thing, because that's also a story. But if I start talking about, like, specie currency, hard money, soft money, derivatives, and like all the shit that comes out of these books, it just doesn't have that sizzle, right? Do you guys get what I'm saying? By the way, I mean, if you guys want to see my commitment, I'm wearing a fucking wizard costume on this on the show. By the way, we also have a knight costume. So yeah, so there is going to be anyways, yes. Okay, guys, can I tell you? All right, I'm gonna tell you guys something cool. All right. On learnpyreswap.com, and by the way, inventory of stories. Do you guys remember this? So the thing I just showed you, that's like the goddamn back of the book. Do you guys get what I'm saying? That's the inside of the jacket for the stories that we're about to fucking create to market this project. Because as you guys can see there, like that is an interesting story. No, yeah, we have so many people in the PyreSwap studio now. I'm being handed other blazers. I'm like, no, we're gonna ride it out in this fucking wizard costume. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna take. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. Okay, actually, you know what? This is really, this is not bad, and arguably.
It looks so weird without the hat.
You know what? But if I had to go to a crypto conference, I would probably just like wear this like around street clothes, which is really what I'm wearing right now. But yeah, like I would just wear this and just go to the crypto conference like this. That's the type of gimmick you kind of need. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, indeed, right? Okay, so inventory of stories, and that right there, what I just listed off, that's like the inside jacket. So I'm going to talk to you guys about stories and what we're doing here for a second, right? And by the way, I'm really glad I wrote that down because you guys can see that that's the type of shit that. Do you understand how interesting this project became from that fucking story? Do you know what doesn't make it interesting, by the way? Nickel and diming with Alessio about whether it's 188x or not. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Do you guys know what I mean? Like it just, that kills the vibe. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And by the way, like, we're gonna go to the moon not from getting 5 people to throw 30 grand in, but from getting hundreds of people to throw in $10, $20, $30. Because then that will auto-catalyze into the point that everybody's money is throwing at this. Does that make sense? That's what we're going for here. So even before hype, I'm trying to seed pre-hype. Does that make sense? I know that everyone's patience is on their last thread. I know. CJ's correct, you guys. CJ's correct. Yep. CJ's correct. Okay, by the way, guys. So, learnPyreswap.com. By the way, inventory of stories for that as well. LearnPyreswap.com is actually going to be a journey website. This website itself will have a journey. Okay? And I want you guys to understand that there's going to be like 7 videos on this website. You're going to start off with one video where we continue or we retell a story about fundamental analysis, but we also tell the FIDE story in a bit better. Does that make sense? We start off with that story, but we start bringing in, because I don't know if you guys figured it out, but my solutions, the solutions that I was trying to teach to devs, that's where we begin the fundamental analysis epiphany. Does that make sense to you guys? I know a lot of you guys remember terminal utility. Well, terminal utility is an example of something that was invented from fundamental analysis. Do you guys understand? Right? So like you have to there's something called the big domino. The big domino. And the big domino is something you need your audience to believe. Like, what's the one thing you need your audience to believe? And it's like, the one thing we need them to believe for this project is that fundamental analysis is fucking better than going blind. Does that make sense? And I think you guys would all agree with that as well. Even when it makes you guys sad, you at least know exactly how sad you are. Right, Alessio? I'm kidding. I need to stop targeting Alessio. But he does single himself out when he chooses to be the most vocal. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop. Okay. Fexer, you're not wrong. Yeah, you're measurably sad. You're measurably sad. Yeah, you're not infinitely sad. You're sad to a degree. And that's fundamental analysis. Alessio, okay. And Alessio, I appreciate how steadfast you are with dealing with my own personality and its evolution through this project's process. And so I appreciate everybody who's been part of this journey, because the story of this project is something special. I want you guys to understand that. Rolf, you're right. And I want you guys to understand that, like, I literally did finally figure out what the missing ingredient was. And we're going to win. We're going to win. Yep. CJ, no, it's actually storytelling. It was storytelling. That was the missing ingredient. But to quote Steve Jobs, storytelling is the most lucrative skill you can earn. Storytelling is the most lucrative skill. So I have literally been, don't even get me fucking started yet. I have more books showing up today about storytelling. Don't worry, I'm not gonna fucking, let me talk about this product first. So learnPyreswap.com, this is another, it's what you would call another funnel type of website. Rolf, I need to get better. I need to be a master storyteller. Thank you, CJ. I appreciate that meme that you described. Because a meme that you described is like a story as well. Anyways, okay. On learnPyreswap.com, I want you guys to understand we're going to have like 7 videos. And on these videos, by the way, I'm going to explain to you what the videos are. The first video is like the big domino video. Does that make sense? So we talk about FA again. We talk about my story, or should I say the project story, and then we give them to an epiphany where FA is what we want them to think. FA is the missing ingredient in their ability to invest intelligently. Does that make sense? And by the way, we can use the case study of Benjamin Graham's book. But then the second one, we have to, then we talk about, Then we talk about false beliefs. So I'm going to tell you guys what these false belief patterns are. So, okay. Anyways, the point being here is that these stories kind of tell them, these videos tell them more stories that relate to PYRESWAP's concepts, and then it commits them to going deeper into the website. So at the bottom of every video, there's a link they click to go to the next page. Well, okay, on page 1, you guys, on page 1, it's gonna look the exact same as how to tell when to sell. So boring as fuck, white background, and Deja Vu Sands. As we get deeper and deeper onto the website, it's gonna get more pixelated and more gamified. It's gonna look more and more like the fantasy fiction. So even as you proceed through the stories that we're telling that aren't fantasy fiction, I'm gonna go from wearing a turtleneck and a blazer to being dressed like a wizard over the 7 videos. Does that make sense to you guys? So legitimately, we're giving them a visual story. We're giving them like conceptual stories. We're tying every single story, by the way, I'm explaining this in a second. Yeah, and by the way, Jay, like when you give people those like sensory treats, and this is the stuff that I got wrong in 2024. Like this is the stuff that I got wrong. I had to learn from getting kicked in the mouth. But like when you add this level of showmanship and like, first of all, by the way, Jay, I don't know if you know this, some people hate the Allegard font, right? But because you're not even asking them if they want to see a pixelated font. We're just cock slapping them with Allegard, right? Like they leave Discord where the font is sans serif and it's easy. Then boom, you're on PYRESWAP.com. Fucking read Allegard now, and it just pixelated cock slapping right on the forehead. But when we do it with 7 videos, we're slowly introducing, maybe like we're slowly adopting the aesthetic. So we're cock teasing them. Do you guys get what I'm saying? We go from cock slapping to cock teasing. And as CJ explained earlier, that can make all the difference. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Yeah, we're gonna go from cock slapping to cock teasing. So the cock slapping approach we did in the past, it wasn't winning us. It wasn't doing us any favors. We're gonna go towards cock teasing, where we introduce the pixelation and the fantasy fiction. Exactly. So, anyways, that's just one thing I wanted to share because I'm excited about it from a design standpoint. But I'm gonna talk to you guys about building the inventory of stories. So, what the fuck time is it now? Man, you know, I'm having a good ass time now. When we started off, I was in a rage. It might have been the pre-workout. Okay, step 1. So on step 1, you list all the false beliefs your customers might have related to your new opportunity. So legitimately, step 1 of building an inventory of stories. List false beliefs. Now, by the way, Rolf, one of those false beliefs might be that Tomb Forks are scams. Does that make sense? So believe it or not, the only way that we can convince people that Tomb Forks are not scams is to build a story that explains why they're not. Does that make sense? You literally have to tell it in a story, because if you don't tell them a story, so I have to basically take the economics of terminal utility, draft an allegory about it, tell them the allegory first, then say, that's kind of like how Tomb Forks are. They're like a 3-legged table. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Anybody who buys a table with 3 legs is going to feel like they're getting scammed. Does that make sense? That actually a 3-legged table is a pretty good metaphor. But do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, so in order to change their paradigm, because Rolf, while you at least have had your paradigm shifted that Tomb Forks can be resurrected, even if you haven't seen them peg, other people who I've definitely talked to, if you say Tomb Fork, they literally like wince like this. Like they get tense, like you're mentioning like a war. I don't even want to describe. It's not been positive. But I'm not going to leave that argument out of the circle. So again, it just needs to be, yeah, PTSD is correct, right? Heresy, right, Rolf? But again, in order to overcome the false belief that tomb forks are scams or tomb forks are Ponzi schemes, there has to be an allegory that explains why they're incomplete. They're not projects, they're primitives, which is literally how, more on that way later. But the point being here is list false beliefs they have concerning your new opportunity. So I'm going to explain to you guys that false beliefs come in 3 categories. False beliefs, 3 categories. Do you know what they are? No, you don't, because you guys haven't been reading an entire library of marketing books. Don't worry, I know a guy who has. Okay? The 3 categories concerning false beliefs are false beliefs around the vehicle itself. So whatever the opportunity is, it could be crypto, it could be DeFi, it could be tomb forks, it could be the fact that we're on Phantom Opera because who knows, or investing in crypto or fundamental analysis. Any doubt about the product of the vehicle or what you're describing, it could be a false belief they have about this. Does that make sense? A second one is an internal one. So if I talk about fundamental analysis and how great it is, well, actually, it's actually internal, and then 3 is external. But no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong that the leader could be part of the vehicle, I think, or it could be external. But yeah, but yes, that is 100% a belief they have. Like the team itself, by the way, or the leader, that is exactly a team itself it has that has to be disrupted by a story. So you have to list false beliefs. By the way, this exercise says I should try to find the top 20 false beliefs about this project. In order to do that, I'm just going to scroll up in this chat and see the last 20 things Alessio wrote. Does that make sense? I'm joking. Okay, I'm kidding. But anyways, if you guys have like ideas of what the false beliefs are that need to get like knocked out, by all means, let me know. Does that make sense? Like legitimately, like again, tomb forks being scams. That's a good one to knock out. But then what you do is you find the 3 most prominent ones in these areas. So legitimately, you get 20 false beliefs. You put them in these 3 categories. Then what you do, by the way, remember we're building learnPYRESWAP.com, and then of course using these same stories on YouTube interviews, is we need to write. First of all, the first story is like is the epiphany bridge of the project, but then you have to have 3 other stories. And the second story is an epiphany bridge about the core false belief concerning the vehicle. The third epiphany bridge story is about rejecting the core false belief on internal. So a lot of people, when they hear about fundamental analysis, they'll say something like, fundamental analysis sounds amazing, but I'm too dumb to get it. Does that make sense? Right? So they will internally think that like, this project sounds cool, but I'm not smart enough. And by the way, much different than my approach before, I have to actually reject that false belief and say, actually, no, it's easy. All you gotta do is figure out these dashboards. Does that make sense? Right? Or say that like, yeah, it's whatever. Does that make sense? Like whatever the core false belief is, whether they are, it's too big brain for me, which by the way, a lot of people said that about this project. Like, this project is too big brain for me because I was not storytelling, I was fucking professorizing, right? External. Do you guys know what a good false belief that's external right now? I would say that like whether Phantom Opera is gonna get deprecated. I think that is like, I don't know why people are just like so convinced that just, okay, can I point something out to you guys right now? Can I point something out right now to people in this chat? We have 5 channelers that are like picked to be the witch faction. Like, I can't twist their arm to even give a fuck about PyreBNB or PyreAVAX right now in the same Discord. Does that make sense? So like the 5 channelers that really do preside over all the chains, like they're just gonna focus on Phantom things. Does that make sense to you guys? So people think for some reason that, like, don't worry, everybody is just gonna literally stampede over to the next chain. Most of the guys I'm talking to right now are like Phantom diehards. So I don't know why, like, you guys think, oh, but for Sonic Labs, I would just completely fold like a napkin, put myself into an envelope, and then send myself. I don't like. Avalanche is about to have this huge gas upgrade. Are you guys aware that Avalanche is having a huge gas upgrade? Might make it almost as cheap as Phantom Opera is now. But like, you guys are still gonna dig your heels in on Blue Chain, right? You guys are still gonna be digging your heels in on Blue Chain. So I don't know why people are like, oh no, yeah. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, yeah. Like, I don't know why, like, you guys think that, like, you're the user base. Like, are you guys gonna be like, oh no, it's fine. We'll just put our heads down and just go where we're told. Like, you guys don't operate like that. Maddie, for sure. And again, 60 to 70% of the project is Phantom right now. So, like, I'm not gonna try to, my solution to that is just to grow the user base until people spread out naturally. Does that make sense? Which is also why we have 3 of the How to Tell When to Sell websites, right? Like, it's fine. Like, I'm not gonna, do you get what I'm saying? There's certain things that you can't get a user base to do. So, like, everybody believes this narrative that Sonic Labs is like some amazingly strong organization and they're gonna be able to just literally scoop up all the money on Phantom and the people and just dump them over, right? There you go, Electronic. And by the way, the gas is about to get way cheaper. So if the gas gets cheaper over there, Electronic, I imagine somebody might spam click those incantations that are overdue over there on Red Chain. We probably have like 100 overdue incantations over there. So who knows, Electronic? This might be your last chance to buy before the upgrade drops. Yeah. Anyways. Okay, guys. If you want to know why that I'm not convinced that like Sonic Labs is this like overlord organization, there's 2 books. Okay? Do you guys want to hear these 2 books about like these 2 books contain where I should just get these 2 books. Fuck it. Yeah, let's just keep going. All right, I'm going to get these 2 books real quick and then I'm going to come back on yeah. Pega, you know what, Pega? I also have been dissuaded by the gas myself, so it's okay. But I want you guys to know something. We're gonna make it, and I'm not gonna quit. We're repegging the fucking AVAX forks too. Hang on, I'm gonna get 2 books. You know, I'm really, do you guys think it's the wizard robe? Do you guys think that this stream has me energized because of the magical powers of this costume? Does it feel like that? I feel like this is a great show. I feel like yesterday, like, I don't know, like this one, I feel like this show is easily 10 times better than yesterday's. No offense to yesterday's. Anyways, so, Javery, we may or may not have that. I don't know if you've seen that before. Do you see that? Do you guys see that? It's a real helmet. Here, real quick. This is a real helmet, by the way. Like, if you had a fucking weapon, it's padded. Like, it does the trick. Anyways, so the first book that I have read, I read this book recently. I read it in 2024, so in the last 90 days I read it. It's called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. Then the subtext right here in this green line, it says, violate them at your own risk. Does that make sense? So the first book is called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, and then it says violate them at your own risk. Make sense, everybody? Okay. I have covered this book in some content in the past. Would you guys agree? You guys have heard me talk about this book, right? Okay. A lot of the laws in this book are not being considered for this, the whole thing about the blue chain. Does that make sense? A lot of them. Let's see, if I were to talk about some of this stuff. First of all, the law of leadership and the law of the category are thrown the fuck away. So the law of leadership is like, you want to be first. Does that make sense? Being first is great. But like, if you can't be first in your category. Does that make sense? So like, then you have the law of the mind, which is like 14. It's better to be the first in the mind than to be first in the marketplace. Does that make sense? Which again, can be confusing, except that nothing, when I had that helmet on, I couldn't hear myself. But you know what? Electronic, guess what? Adobe now has an AI font generator. So we can actually get proprietary pixelated fonts pretty soon. Won't that be exciting, you guys? Yeah, we might be able to get the perfect font that is like a proprietary PYRESWAP font. Yeah. More on that way later. Don't worry about the pixelated fonts. Then we have the law of perception. Marketing is not a battle of products, it's a battle of perception. I'm not going to go through all these laws. Then you have the law of exclusivity, which is two companies cannot own the same word in the prospect's mind. The law of focus means being able to own a word in the prospect's mind. I want you guys to understand something, like, never mind. The law of the ladder, okay. The strategy you use depends on which rung you occupy on the ladder. In this strategy, they're completely abandoning their rung on the ladder to go try something completely fucking different. Then you have the law of duality. In the long run, every market becomes a two-horse race, which means that, like, you're entering yourself as a competitor. Anyways. Here's the law of the opposite, which means if you're shooting for second place, your strategy is determined by the leader. So I want you guys to understand something. When it comes to launching Sonic, I don't see them launching a chain to like literally be the next fucking... They're an EVM. Does that make sense? Would you guys agree they're an EVM chain? So when you're an EVM, you're already kowtowing to Ethereum. Does that make sense? So now you have the idea that like there's other metrics which are now XRP, Solana, I mean BNB as well, but like they're trying to go from like silver medalist to like slightly less tarnished silver medalist, if that makes sense to you guys. I'm not even gonna go over the rest of these laws, but for every attribute, there's an opposite effective attribute. And I want you guys to understand something. The storyline of Phantom Opera being like an underdog, underrated project, I know that like you guys like that about Phantom because that's what I liked about Phantom. Does that make sense? Because Phantom, the whole time I've known it, the highest it ever was like top 20 and the lowest it's been is like, 90, right? So it was always like, it's a top 100 project, but it's still an underdog, right? Yeah, exactly. And now it's like, okay, I guess fuck the community. We're just going to go after metrics. Does that make sense? Right? So the story of Phantom, like the Harry Ye, the fucking Geist, right? The multi-chain stuff. Like the story of Phantom, when we talk about storytelling marketing, the fact that this story would now end with like, and then everybody left to go to Sonic. Does anybody like that story? Yeah, does anybody like that story? Like, if you were to think about the story of Phantom, do you guys like the idea that, like, oh, and then Phantom got deprecated because everybody was sad? Do you guys know that Terra Luna 2 did not beat the market cap of Terra Luna Classic? Anyways, I'm not even bearish on Sonic. I'm not bearish, but, like, I think that what people are buying into here is not... These laws apply in crypto, too, okay? Anyways, that's just some stuff. There's another book, and it's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Okay? 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. This book is very famous. Well, Pega, you know what? I understand it's a very nice pig, right? And the point being here is that it's a newborn pig. Does that make sense, Pega? Because in fucking software, it's like, oh, well, we need novelty. And we need to be able to, leave the trauma of the past behind. But leaving the trauma of the past behind, That isn't something a winner does. The winner keeps fighting all the way through. Does that make sense to you guys? Because in the stories that I'm being told to write, the fact that we have these periods of like immense bleakness. Yes, Pega, exactly the point. Literally in this chat, you have people, again, being bleak as fuck just because they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. That bleakness is part of the story of this project. Does that make sense? Because I want you guys to know, in English, there's a maxim. It goes like this. It's always darkest before the dawn. Do you guys understand? So like, until it gets better, it might just get worse. But literally what I've been saying is that we literally had the epiphany. I have literally solved the problem, which is, again, how to market this project, because you can't market it like other projects. Because if that worked, it would be like other projects, which is not. Does that make sense? Like unique tokenomics, unique product, unique marketing. Does that make sense? Like if I'm not copying and pasting anything else, why the fuck would I copy and paste their marketing? It does not work because the prospect is viewing you like you're a meme coin. And then they're like, oh, well, the token is called PYREFTM. That doesn't feel like a meme. And then they lean back and they don't lean forward. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Anyways, the other book is called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I want you guys to know there's a right way and a wrong way to be a leader. And I'm not going to say I'm fucking perfect. I'm not fucking perfect. But I am not thrilled about the amount of laws in this book that are kind of being ignored by people who are in theory being thought of as leaders. Does that make sense? So the first one is called the law of the lid, which means, by the way, like a leader's ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. Sorry, a leadership ability. And that also means an organization. So like the better the leader is, the better the organization will be. Does that make sense to you guys? So when an organization is failing, the leader has to be replaced. Right? Anyways, some of the decisions to do this are not exactly what you would consider optimal or even admirable leadership. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to sound that I'm a perfect either, but it doesn't. Well, I am dressed as a wizard, Pega, so I think I'm compensating a little bit. Okay. Second law, the law of influence. Literally, like where he's around. Well, I'm going to explain that one. Okay. The law of process. Leadership develops daily, not in a day. So I want you guys to understand something, that like the chain phantom having a storyline doesn't make it a shittier project. I think that people look at the metrics and they think, oh, well, the multi-chain and oh, the tomb forks and the DeFi and whatever the fuck else people were complaining about with Phantom. But like that is not. There are plenty of other EVM chains that can compete with Phantom on block speed and transaction cost. Does that make sense? Right? EVMs that are more obscure. Can you guys think of EVMs that are more obscure? Surely you can. Do you guys know what I mean when I say EVMs that are more obscure? I'm sure you have one in your MetaMask. Just being honest. I'm going to put this back on the manager here. Okay, we'll just leave that. Let me make sure it's not going to fall over. So maybe on your MetaMask, you might have EVMs like Doge Chain or let me think about one. Harmony. Do you guys remember Harmony? Oh, Linnea, yeah. Or Metis. Do you guys remember Metis? Metis or Harmony or even Moonbeam and Moon River. And even though I think those are like still kind of around, they're more obscure. Right? Shit, dude. Kronos. Even Kronos, for whatever reason, is not as, like, as a chain, it's not as where the fuck is CRO now anyway? Let me see CoinMarketCap real quick since I have it up. Where the fuck does CRO hang out? It's number 31, so it's still above Phantom. But anyways, the chain itself, though, does not have the TVL. Do you guys know what I mean? right? Because CRO gets traded on crypto.com because they have a centralized exchange, which is probably why it's number 31. But it doesn't have the DeFi like legacy that Phantom does. Do you guys know what I mean? Kronos is a bad example, but you guys know the ones I'm talking about. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And anyways, number 4 in John Maxwell's book is the law of navigation, which means anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. Does the course being charted right now inspire anyone to follow, or does it feel more like fear? Do you guys feel inspired to go there, or do you feel more like fear is you're scared of what will happen to Phantom? Like, does that make sense? By the way, guys, do you guys know how Metatrage works? I mean, I think you guys should because you're in the PYRESWAP server. And do you guys know how, like they have a FTM to S portal, right? Where you can burn Phantom to mint Sonic. Is that correct? Is that how it works? Like, I don't know. I haven't looked. But is that how it works? Fexer, well then, I know for a fact you have tripled your money on Metatrage before. I expect you to probably triple your money again with this whole Phantom to Sonic migration. But does everybody understand what happens to the price of Sonic and what happens to the price of Phantom? So as they are vamping the market cap of Phantom, they're making FTM go to the moon, which is also increasing the volume on Phantom. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So Fexer, you have a unique advantage. You know how this works. Do you know who does not know how this works? The majority of the Phantom ecosystem, because they haven't heard of PYRESWAP, or they at least haven't dabbled with it yet. Does that make sense? So for the first 90 days of this bridge, or this migration portal, which is really like a Metatrage UI, it's gonna make FTM pump. It's gonna make S crash. Does anyone disbelieve that? Because as long as they both touch $1 somewhere, it'll be a long form Metatrage. Do you guys understand? Do you guys understand? It's not going to be a direct Metatrage like we have, but it'll just be like a Metatrage with extra steps. Do you guys understand? Do you guys understand that? I apologize if you don't, because I'm not storytelling right now. Yes, Maddie, and because it's one-way meeting, all it takes is for them to be in liquidity against USDC. Yeah, exactly. But Fexer, here's what's going to happen. You're going to be able to dump S for the USDC or whatever the, right? Because they're going to have a stable coin over there on Equalizer, right? Because Equalizer's already over there, right? Right? If Equalizer's already over there, then legitimately it's going to be paired against USDC. Does anybody think there's not going to have stable coins over there? And guess what? It's going to have what does Sonic has? It has a bridge with Ethereum, right, you guys? It has a bridge with Ethereum. Do you know what else has? Do you guys know what else? Yeah, do you guys know what else has a bridge with Ethereum? Phantom. Does that make sense? So if we know that there's a bridge with Ethereum, effectively this will be Metatrage. Does everyone understand? Even if it's Metatrage through Ethereum. Does everyone understand me here? So if that happens, Maddie, here's what's going to happen. Everybody who doesn't know how Metatrage works, they're going to be fucking confused. They're going to be like, why is S going down and why is FTM going up? Some of them will still fucking, burn to mint, as it were, right? Like some of them will meet at a loss because we've had it here as well. But then what's going to happen is because of the confusion, the whole user base is not going to be as thrilled. Does that make sense? Because they're going to go from their emotional state of yes to wait a minute, this is not my expectations. Because by the way, we learned that lesson with our project on a much smaller scale. Does that make sense? Do you guys get it? Like thankfully we had less than 100 people feel the pain of that. But we don't know it's going to be less than 100 with FTM to S, do we? So you're going to have a whole bunch of people be like, why is S going down? Why is FTM going up? And what are they going to do? They're going to follow the trend because that's what everybody in crypto does, right? As FTM goes up in value, the market cap that's vamping is actually still getting compensated for it. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like the market cap is not actually moving over to S. That's what maybe they think how it works. The market cap will not move over to S because it'll Metatrage back to Phantom. And if it meter charges back to Phantom, Phantom's gonna go up in token value while remaining at the same market cap, because this is how PYRESWAP was fucking designed. And S is gonna crash. And then when it is not profitable to migrate over, everyone's gonna freeze and they're gonna stop doing what? The same thing they stopped doing here. They're gonna stop meeting. And when they stop meeting, everyone's gonna be like, oh, well, I guess, do you understand what I'm saying? Then, like, it doesn't even matter later. Like, they're like, oh, then we're gonna turn it off after 90 days. They might ramp up their marketing after 90 days, but at the same time, if you fuck up a launch with a large group of people, they will all turn on you. I want you guys to know something. If we have any advantage going for us here, is that our launch did not get a large enough group of people. Does that make sense? Because we have the ability to get a completely new user base. Does that make sense? Whereas if you have 700,000 followers on Twitter, like Sonic Labs does, it might be difficult to get a second chance. Well, Fexer, that's interesting. Yes, the fact that it would be bi-directional kind of, I guess we'll see. But the point being here is that what people's expectations are about the way it'll go is going to determine the sentiment, right? Because, anyways, there's other laws here, like the law of addition, and the leaders add value by serving others. Additionally, it's more heroic to solve problems than it is to run away from them. Right, exactly, Maddie. Because like, oh shit, S is gonna go to the moon. But if they're opening it up with a Mead portal, that's not how that works. I don't know what they have going on. Yeah, I'm only, hearing about it secondhand. I'm not bearish on Sonic, but like again, the storyline of this does not really inspire me. I don't even know what Electronic's talking about. Yeah, are you talking about PYRESWAP, or are you talking about oh, okay. Decay of what? Decay of S? Yeah, Fexer, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's going to make Phantom go to $2 or whatever, or $3 or $4. But then, Fexer, what's going to happen there is people are going to be fucking confused, because they're like, why is Phantom going up and S is going down? Because in their mind, they will think it'll be the other way. So wait, Electronic, you mean there's going to be an S airdrop and then they're going to decay the S? Like, so Sonic, the token, has decay built in? Holy shit, is this chain just been copying PYRESWAP? I'm kidding. Oh, okay. That's not a decay. That's more of an unlock. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and that the tokenomics of that makes sense as well. That's kind of cool, I guess. That's kind of cool. Oh, then by the way, the whole what Charlotte says there, only bidirectional for 3 months, and then it's unidirectional, right? I want you guys to understand something. That doesn't, okay, people think that means like, oh, we're gonna trap the money like a net, okay? But the money goes in 2 directions. You have supply and you have demand. Does that make sense? So the fact of the matter is, what do these tokens really represent? These gas tokens, they represent access to that chain. They represent like, hey, when you have this gas token, you have the ability to do things in that place known as a chain. Does that make sense? In the most fundamental. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So if you have Phantom as a chain that has the ability to go to Sonic, but you have a Sonic chain that doesn't have the ability to go to Phantom, that doesn't make Sonic look more economically powerful. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to tell you guys 2 countries, okay? 2 countries. One of them is the United States of America, and the other one is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Have you guys heard of these 2 countries? Has anybody not heard of these 2 countries? I can move the board. Okay, Odin, would you say that the USA has the ability to trade with lots of other countries? Like over 100? Most of them? Yeah. Would you guys say that the DPRK has that same level of ability to trade with hundreds of countries? Or are they de facto sanctioned, whether they want to be or not? They trade with China, and then China is like their pass-through or whatever. I don't even know how the fuck that works. But yeah, would you guys agree that the DPRK has less ability to trade with other places? Yeah, exactly. So the point being here, Odin, is that for whatever reason, it's better to have options. Does that make sense? It has the ability of routing capital, right? So the USA has more routes of trading. It has more trade routes. You guys have heard of trade routes before? Fexer, I'm just saying, it's better for your economy to have more trade routes and not less. By the way, you guys, do you know that when the USA stopped being part of the British Empire, they didn't like stop trading with them? You guys know what I mean? Do you guys know what I mean? Do you guys know what I mean? Yeah, like that would have been a real dumb mistake. Yeah. In fact, even during the War of 1812, like when the USA fought against the UK twice, like there was still trade happening all over the fucking place. Yeah, and they would trade through Canada and they would trade through France. Like there was just still trade all over the fucking place. The idea that like you're gonna cut this bridge off and it's like, well, money can't escape. Well, the coins, the supply can't escape, but the demand always can. Does that make sense to you guys? And by demand here, we mean like the price. The price will reflect the powers of the trading ability of that country. And by the way, Fexer, these are obviously like the two most extreme countries, right? But allegorically is when whenever I'm talking, I guess the allegory seems to hit the cleanest, right? I'm not actually like calling Phantom the USA is also pretty extreme. Calling Sonic the Democratic People's Republic of Korea also pretty extreme. But I want you guys to at least understand, for some reason, more trade routes better for the economy, right? Just as a rule of thumb. You know, you gotta be polarizing like this. Anyways, additionally, and then my one last thing. Oh, like it's tariffs? Is that the? Yeah. Okay. So my one last thing though is when you call with the chain being called Phantom, all of the DApps deployed on Phantom, they carried the theme of Phantom. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So they carried that occult, spooky monster theme, right? Spooky is literally the name of the original decks. Do you guys remember? So because it had that theme, like again, because it had that theme, it had a culture. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So like the chain Sonic is literally just named after the speed of sound. Does that make sense? And like, oh, that means fast, right? And getting more general with their naming convention, and then like we're just gonna be, you know, it's again, you need to have personality in your product. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And like, I just don't feel like there's more personality in S. They even took the other, there's only one letter too. You know what I mean? It's S. So like, do you guys get what I'm saying? Anyways, okay, I'm not trying to FUD Sonic Labs, okay? Rolf, that's kind of how it feels. Like it's like, hey, we're gonna just be like, we're gonna be more seamless. Yeah, we're optimized now. Oh, okay, what does that mean? By the way, guys, I want to point something else out to you guys. Okay, in your mind, By the way, this ties into the whole storytelling and emotion thing. Do you guys see these two prices on the board? Do you guys see the prices? And by the way, guys, I am going to start competing once we have our marketing actually firing. I'm going to start competing low-key with the amount of followers we begin to gain compared to how Sonic Labs is doing. On a really low-key level. Meaning, how many people are joining this Discord every week? How many people are following our Twitter every week? Because I don't know which number we're starting off with is fake, but I do know that if we're outpacing the gain of community, then we can keep Phantom Opera alive with this DAP forever. Make sense? I know my goals are so lofty and we don't have PEG yet. I know, okay? I really didn't think about how disheartening it would be to hyperinflate the token, because I was literally like, the month of August, I was like locked in with bad negotiations with YouTube's. I was like, I wasn't even thinking about the price chart. I was just trying to get on YouTube. And like, anyways. This is a 1/10 of a penny, and this is a 100th of a penny. Do you guys see these two numbers? Can you guys read them? I actually can't tell if it's legible. Is this legible to you guys? We gotta wrap this up, don't we? Holy shit, we're going extra long today. Okay. Do you guys know that in your mind, you cannot feel the difference between these two prices? Like, you guys do not feel the difference in these two prices. So like, if we were to talk about $10,000 versus $1,000, you can feel that difference. 100,000 versus 10,000, you can feel that too, right? 1,000,000 versus 100,000, you guys can feel the difference between those two numbers, right? In dollars, right? Does $1 million feel different than 100 grand? Actual question. Am I frozen? Am I frozen, Mr. Producer? Okay. Okay. So Jay, isn't it interesting that even though 100 grand and 1,000,000 are by the same factor difference, at this point they feel the same? Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
The memory card is an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Because it becomes infinitesimal. Yeah. But at the same time, Maddie, this number is a 10x of this number. This number is a 10x. 10x, holy shit. So the point being is that like Phantom Opera cannot get cheaper. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Do you guys know what I mean? Because what cheap is a feeling. Cheap is a feeling. Cheap gas is a feeling. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So like if you get the gas even cheaper than Phantom Opera, people aren't gonna give a shit. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like that metric means a lot when you're looking at metrics. But like, part of the reason people like Phantom is because it feels cheaper than Avalanche and BNB and Ethereum. There you go, Rolf. Yeah, it's like, yeah, my pulse is not gonna jump because I only think about $2 and 8,000, right? Exactly, Maddie. Yes, when you have a very, very complex, transaction and the gas bundles up. But that's what I mean. Like when you build, this is again the law of, I'm not going to keep going on about these books. I think that today was a great show. It might have been this costume. But I hope that this was of value to you guys. Do you guys, for those of you who heard the story, would you guys agree that marketing with stories is clearly going to be better than fire hosing off economics? Do you guys understand that? I have now read multiple books. By the way, guys, I am only learning marketing from guys who are worth 9 figures or more. Like their net worth is 9 figures or billionaire, okay? I am not learning marketing from like a guy who, I don't know, he used to run an agency and yeah. Yes. Well, Rolf, we're going to begin the story that converts these early adopters, even though they're kind of like late to the game now, and then from enough of those people showing up in a certain frequency, you will auto-catalyze the hype. Does that make sense? By the way, guys, in order for this project to go to the moon, we don't need very much, because I'm going to describe it as a rate. I want it to be a rate that we sustain. If you had 2 new wallets buying the coin for the first time every day, like 2, does that make sense? That over enough period of days would just auto-catalyze into a runaway rally. Do you guys understand? Because like people will be coming through this funnel, whether they came from how to tell when to sell. Shit, I didn't even post the links today. But I will post the links later. From how to tell when to sell, or from our YouTube interviews, or from literally anything else. If 2 people are converting to buying a token every day, and that could be any of the tokens, to be honest, and as long as they're not running out of patience before another person buys, it will create the hype that you guys are looking for, where suddenly everybody is throwing their fucking bag in. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because the fact of the matter is, like, the user base continuing to grow a small amount consistently. If 2 new wallets were buying every day, like within 10 days it would be blowing up, because other people would begin buying out of FOMO. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Everybody in this project, their beliefs are around it being one of the best projects this season, right? But like the reason you guys are stressed out is because your belief in your heart doesn't get matched with the number on the screen. Does that make sense? It's the mismatch that causes the negativity. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like I do know what's happening, and like I figured out how to solve it too. As soon as you see more and more evidence in reality that matches your belief, this is called availability bias. You become overjoyed about being right. Do you guys get what I'm saying? People love seeing that they're right, and they hate seeing that they're wrong. So legitimately, like the positive emotions are easy as fuck to floodgate here. But all we need to do is sustain a small amount even. We could get way more than 2 a day. But I'm saying, like, if I wanted to really knock... Anyways, the goal is to be consistently getting new people every day, or at least have a consistent amount new every week. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because it'd be like, wait a minute, there's a new buyer entering right now with $30 or $60 or $10. Right? They don't need to be huge amounts. But then that will catalyze 5 of you guys to go buy $5 more. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Right? Because as soon as people say like, oh wait, this is the first, as soon as one of you forensics is like, wait a minute, this is the first time they're buying, and they bought $100, that might mean that this is a new person. Then everybody will just front run each other. Your best friends, you will front run the fuck out of them. And then that will create those auto-catalytic moments where the chart keeps going up, because we always do marketing now, by the way. We're not like just marketing the peg. So for those of you who are, they can't figure out what we're doing with marketing, we are building marketing in a way that we always have marketing. This does take longer. This is more complicated. But it's going to beat the shit out of everything else out there. Does that make sense? Also, we're not going to match the meta. We're going to beat the meta. I am not going to get fucking rug pulled out of my Discord server. When Discord stopped working for marketing, that was like me getting fucking robbed of what I thought, or at least what was in 2022, of being over $1 million worth of marketing fucking assets. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like 5 Discord servers in 2022, you can make $1 million with that. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like that should be worth it. Remember when we didn't get the Matrix Money server and everyone's like, what the fuck, right? And it was like, it was just the outcome of the deal, right? By the way, that server is still there. It's a fucking ghost town. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So like at the time, I thought I was a genius because I took care of all the marketing we would need up front. I'm just gonna buy 5 Discord servers. And turns out that didn't work. But what did I do? Like just blame the marketing, quit? No, I have to evolve, improvise, adapt, overcome. Right? Does that make sense? Improvise, adapt, overcome. We're going to win. And guys who have read books on marketing, guys who have written books on marketing, they have managed to succeed at marketing in all types of contexts, not just like people launching meme coins on Twitter. Does that make sense? Like we're gonna show up with the whole fucking arsenal, not just like one cool trick. Do you guys get what I'm saying? The way that, okay, we also did marketing in 2022 in the Senurate Circus by putting green candles on the chart. We literally were doing that for marketing. Guess what happened? All of the meme coins, that's their main thing now. That's literally their main thing. They literally use volume bots to make themselves look like they have 30,000% returns in the first day. You guys have seen this, right? So guess what? We can't do that anymore. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Because that marketing meta has now been saturated with meme coins. So our two marketing tricks were both taken from us. But I could literally just cry about it, or I could put my big boy wizard robe on and fucking save the day, right? Like the story says. Right? Like the story says. And by the way, the story of 5, this is a story where we win. Okay? Thank you, Rolf. That's hilarious. I hope CJ is here so he can hear that joke. Anyways, yeah. Maddie, in my opinion now, I would say that marketing is 80%. Yeah, marketing is 4/5 of this industry. Yeah, I kind of knew that as well. I just didn't realize that the marketing would shift. Because in 2018, you could market through Discord as well. Like, you could still do that. So when I was like I was the media director, which was like I was a CMO, PAO type of role for an ICO back in the ICO era. And Discord was like useful. So was Telegram, and so were things like that. But then like the fact that Discord would just like dry up because meme coins don't really need to have a Discord. Yeah, exactly. So like the least I can do, if it's a necessary evil, Rolf, then I need to have a grip on that evil much stronger than anybody I'm trying to compete with. Does that make sense? Because I now have to beat people I now have to defeat evil projects in their own arena. Does that make sense? Right? In one of these books, they talk about like, if you believe in the value of what you sell, you have a moral imperative to show the value to other people. So like that is still what drives me. Like I have a moral imperative to be able to communicate the value to this to the people that I'm trying to save, even if they are, drunk on Twitter. I have to just be able to communicate with them in such a way that differentiates what we have here, but still gets them to understand why they should take the next action, which is buying the token, right? Or at least learning about the token, which will get them to buy the token. Make sense? What I didn't realize is that you can actually use storytelling to create epiphanies in the heads of other people. You can't, okay, how does this explained? They have to have the epiphany themselves. You can't have the epiphany for them, but you can tell them a story about the epiphany, which will help lead them to their own epiphany. Anyways, I'm gonna fucking get off stage now because we've been up here for a while. See you guys tomorrow on the PYRESWAP show. Does anybody have any questions before I leave here? We covered a lot, but I think it was the right time to cover a lot. Anyways, yes, I'm literally gonna be training. I'm gonna have like 7, maybe up to 20 stories like memorized. So I'm gonna literally be training myself to be able to answer questions by saying, let me tell you a quick story about that, and then literally telling the story, pacing the way that I talk so I don't speak 700 words a minute, and telling the story in a way that delivers emphasis and significance in a way that shifts the paradigm of the listener. Does that make sense? Oh, and by the way, the fact that I say, does that make sense? That's something that I do correct, by the way. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to have like up to 10 stories memorized because I'm going to assume that the same questions I get asked are the same questions. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to go on like 20 YouTube interviews. And thank you, Rolf. By the way, I have a deck called Cicero, which is like a speaking thing. But I had to do more than Cicero. And what was I saying? When I was doing YouTube interviews before, I would literally just go up there and like be myself. Does that make sense? And I want you guys to know that like that isn't really the move. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Because whether I am, just letting the YouTuber dictate the terms of the interview or whatever, I'm in their system. So like they're kind of, they want to deliver a valuable interview to their audience, but like they decide what the questions are and therefore they have control of the conversation. Generally speaking, I should be answering these questions using stories in such a way that I can kind of guess what their next question will be too. Does that make sense? So when I go on these 20 interviews, in theory, they would all be different, but my goal now, because I am no longer a marketing amateur, my goal now is to have these interviews not be different. In fact, my goal is to steer them to being mostly the same. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, my goal is to, whenever I get asked a question, say stuff like, let me answer that by telling you a quick story. Then literally throwing out a story that answers what the fuck I want to answer. Does that make sense? Yeah, exactly, Maddie. Yeah. Legitimately, so everything is rehearsed like, I was going to say like Patrick Bateman, but that's probably not the comparison I should have used, right? Yeah. But anyways, yeah, rehearsed like a professional actor. I actually used to do presentation sales, so that's not outside the realm of me. Like, I do have that skill, but I didn't really realize that technobabble was the wrong thing to do. Technobabble is the #1 killer of marketing. So I have now learned that I have been, from being the professor, I have literally sabotaged the marketing of this project, going back to the early Genesis, I guess. And I also was also negative and rude and offensive before that too. So like all of the last year have been like this epiphany for myself. Anyways, okay, let's wrap it up, right? Okay, is there no more video feed? All right, no more video. Video's done. I literally see that we have a no video signal. Okay, now we're gonna wrap it up. Okay, all right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you the next PYRESWAP show. We're going to make it. Like, holy shit, guys. Until you learn that I have gotten shot to the point of dying, because if I get shot and live, we're still gonna make it. Does that make sense? Like, holy shit. Like, why would we? Trial and error has great value because you can learn from the errors. That's all that happened. Like, I don't know why I would be criticized on trying things and then continuing to try when I learn. Like, have you guys never done anything in your life? Are you guys like still in your, are you guys, holy shit. Okay, yeah, legitimately, almost all of the ideas were improvements on the ones in the past, but sometimes they had execution problems. Sometimes we had a resource problem. Sometimes we had a time constraint. Do you guys know that, like, if I was doing the training for all the Twitter ambassadors, I was never going to be able to go on fucking YouTube? Maddie, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. Okay, guys. All right, I'm now for sure actually getting off stage. Thank you so much for coming to the PYRESWAP show. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to literally, yeah, bye. And yeah, you can just...